There's a video circulating on Facebook of an older white Jewish woman named Naomi Feil, who talks about the work that she does with women who've been ravaged by Alzheimer's. And this video shows her face-to-face and heart-to-heart with an elderly African-American woman named Gladys Wilson. And Gladys has been ravaged by Alzheimer's. It breaks my heart until the video starts. Naomi is connecting with Gladys and singing old-style church gospel songs to her. There are a few amazing things happening here. The first is Naomi is Jewish. And so she's singing these songs that are totally out of her comfort zone. And before she starts singing, she asks Gladys, "Do you think it would be all right for me to be with you and Jesus for a moment?" It's an invitation. And she's just meeting Gladys where Gladys is. You know, what Gladys needs. And so it seems that Gladys is kind of hitting the chair, and she doesn't seem very engaged at the beginning. And Naomi is singing very gently, "Jesus loves me, this I know," very, very gently coaxing her. Well, by the time she gets to the chorus, Naomi is singing more enthusiastically because Gladys starts pounding on the arm of the chair and picks up the rhythm to the point where she's going, "Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me." You know, and it's this boisterous, exploding ending until the very end when she says, "The Bible tells me so." And then Gladys pulled Naomi right to her face. And Naomi said that in that moment, she says, for a split second, we became one person. As my friend Valerie Benjamin said about this video, she said, "It's deep responding to the deep," just like the song we sang. It's deep responding to deep. So this is what happened. She pulled her right in close. So then Naomi starts singing, "He's got the whole world in his hands." And as she's singing this, Gladys reaches up and grabs her shirt. And when Naomi gets to the verse, "He's got the mothers and the fathers," Gladys whispers, "in his hands." She's there. She's there. And she's got the mothers and the fathers, and Gladys says, "in his hands." And they're singing together. I challenge you to watch this and not cry. I cannot imagine watching this and being like, yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, no. It's so powerful. And so it was while watching this video that the message started to come through. What Gladys was singing was knowing that God had the whole world, as well as Gladys, in his hands. And Gladys was in Naomi's hands. Got it. We are in each other's hands. So, there it is. I started looking around at all the ways that we are the hands. We've got the whole world in our hands. We hold the possibility of change in our hands. We hold the dream of peace in our hands. And since I have been asked over the past week to speak directly on this, we also hold the destruction of peace in our hands. These past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of discussion about what took place in Paris. And there are many perspectives on the why and the who and the whole finger-pointing thing. And all I'm going to say about this is this. My sister, actually, and I had some really intense conversations. So what I'm going to say is this. Hands draw cartoons. And hands pull triggers. Hands can bring about love through prayer, and hands can cause pain through destruction. And all too easily, in the confusion of all of that, victims become attackers and attackers become victims. And we all have theories and positions and opinions and perceptions. And I've really been trying to absorb all of them without engaging, just sort of, And I came to this observation, I think it was yesterday or the day before. The most dangerous weapon we can actually wield is our own opinion. If we aren't careful, we can let that ego and that opinion and our position get in the way of the work that our hands need to be doing. Dumbledore, it's my Harry Potter quote of the week. Dumbledore says, it's not our abilities that show who we truly are, it is our choices. Yeah, this was one of those moments where I'm like, stop the movie. Rewind. Let me get a pen. It's ridiculous, Harry Potter. But so it is not our abilities that show who we truly are. It is our choices. And I would add to that statement that it's not our opinions who show who we truly are. It is, in fact, our choices, how we show up. And if we remind ourselves, if we remind ourselves to stay awake, we will also see that in addition to all the other stuff that we bring to the table, our opinions, our perceptions, our experiences, our stories, we also bring the hands that can turn everything around. The Dalai Lama said this: "My main practice is to dedicate my body, speech, and mind to the welfare of others. I hope to be able to continue to do this for some time yet. My favorite prayer is, for as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then, may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world." Awesome. Yesterday on NPR, there was a story about Pope Francis. He's down in the Philippines, and he's attempting to do this visit and this healing with them from their typhoon from 2013. And in the midst of his visit, a typhoon moved in. So he was having to cut short his visit. And it was really heartbreaking for him because he had wanted to do a lot of healing work there. But they were interviewing people and, what did you think and how was it? And of course, he's awesome. So this 62-year-old man said this amazing thing, and it stopped me. I was like in the middle of my morning stuff, and I froze. And he said, "Pope Francis cannot give us houses and jobs, but he can send our prayers to God." I share this Dalai Lama quote and the story about the Pope to clarify something. We all bring something in our hands. Different gifts, talents, and strengths. We all have something to offer. Which leads to this. Of the many questions that needed answers from this past week, and let's face it, all the rest of the weeks of the year, because it wasn't just one bad thing that happened in Paris. There are things happening all over the world that desperately are calling out for our attention and our care. What are we and our hands going to do about it? Okay, I'm going to share another ministerial secret. I think I shared a ministerial secret a couple weeks ago. Here comes a ministerial secret. Ministers like to do things in threes. They like to make 3 points. Go to other churches and check it out. They may not tell you that they're doing it, but very subtly you'll notice, they just made 3 points. I don't know. It's not any training I got. It's just something I learned, like, 3 points. So I'm conforming today. Super secret ministerial 3 points. So the 3 points that came to me are these. We've got to shift, we've got to shut up, and we got to build. Thank you, brother. You'll get credit in a minute. Hold on. Now, the first two don't seem really hand-related, shifting and shutting up. You'd be surprised, though. But they are kind of preparatory steps to getting our hands on. And However, like even with the Pope, when he said, he can send our prayers to God, that is really hands-on work. He's taking on those prayers, and he is being entrusted with those prayers. Those people believe that he is taking those prayers directly to God. That's important work. So let's see where we go with this. So shift. Let's shift our perception and our position. Here's a little story. So an aging master grew tired of his apprentice's complaints. One morning, he sent the apprentice and said, "Get me some salt." So the apprentice returned. The master told him to mix a handful of salt in a glass of water and drink it. "How does it taste?" the master asked. "Bitter," said the apprentice. The master kind of chuckled and then asked the man to take the same handful of salt and put it in the lake. The two walked in silence to the nearby lake, and the apprentice dropped his handful of salt in the lake and swirled it around. And the old man said, "Now, drink from the lake." As the water dripped from the young man's chin, the master asked, "How does it taste?" And the apprentice replied, "Fresh." The master asked, "Do you taste the salt?" "No," said the young man. At this, the master sat beside the serious young man and explained very softly, "The pain of life is pure salt, no more, no less. The amount of pain in life remains exactly the same. However, the amount of bitterness we taste depends on the container we put the pain in. So when you're in pain, the only thing you can do is to enlarge your sense of things. Stop being a glass, become a lake." How are we seeing the issues around us? Are we seeing them from a limited point of view? From only our side? What about Rumi's field? This vast field where where there's no right and there's no wrong. What about that? How is our opinion getting in our way? It will be challenging for us to get our hands into the game if we're stuck in a glass. Our perception must enlarge in order for us to be of real service. Otherwise, what we bring to the table is more pain and more bitterness. We must become the lake. All right. Secondly, shut up.
You shut up.
You shut up. Open your mouth only if what you are going to say is more beautiful than silence. Now, we all know how important it is to get quiet. And when I say we all, it's because even those of us who don't consciously practice silence or meditation, we all know that sweet moment of when the noise stops. When we're completely empty of chaos and traffic and radio and voices, it's like a magical respite from a noisy world, this moment of silence. And that is one kind of quiet, and it's really important. However, I'm talking about one that is a touch more challenging. I'm talking about the getting quiet that happens when we make the choice to not say what we really want to say. Because we know that if we say it, it really won't be helpful. But we really want to say it. We want the last word. We need to be right. And it's that comment that as we're saying it or typing it on Facebook, we can feel the cortisol rise in our body. That's the moment to shut it. It's this practice of taking the extra breath, that extra moment before speaking or calling or texting or posting on Facebook to choose if we really do, in fact, need or want to say what we might have said automatically in the past. Our old habit might have been, "Oh, I'm just going to respond to that." This is a new habit. This is a new practice of going, "Whoa. Does that contribute? Does that bring the lake down to a glass? Just expand to the lake? What am I bringing to the table? Maybe I don't need to say that." Byron Katie makes a comment about how when we do that, you can audibly hear your ego screaming, "No! Wow!" She's like, listen to your ego scream. But it's this practice of actually thinking before speaking. Oh, God, can you imagine what our political system would look like if people did this? If they actually thought a moment before things flew out. It's actually choosing if what we want to say really needs to be shared or not. There's a gentleman named Viktor Frankl who spent time in both Dachau and Auschwitz concentration camps in Germany. And he wrote beautiful, beautiful books. He wrote Man's Search for Meaning as well as many other books. And he speaks honestly about his experience and his survival and what that whole thing entailed. And he said this: between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. Now, if a man in Auschwitz could say this, surely we can do this. Surely we can take a moment out to breathe and just let our silence be more powerful than our argument could be. I love that quote. I think that's the next tattoo. And then our last one is build. Building takes listening. It takes patience, making an effort, committing. So one of my friends on Facebook, his name is Ryan. Shout out to Ryan. I told him I would. And he posted this one day, this little story about his day at work. And I thought, this is it. He says, at my work, we have a glass cake case for customers to view and choose from. In almost all cases for the past year, I've noticed people will point at one and say, that one. I'm on the other side of the case, and I can't see what they're pointing at. So I'll say, which one? Hoping for a description like chocolate, pink, sparkly, anything, give me a clue. And I'll say, I can't see where you're pointing. And they will respond with, that one, and they'll point harder. No description, no explanation, nothing to suggest that they understand that I cannot see what they want. This made me realize how difficult it is for people to see other people's perspectives. If people can't comprehend how I can't see what they're pointing at, even if I say so, how could they understand my religion, my ethics, my choices, my loves? We tend to just sort of accept what others say and think, well, that's their business. But what if we could actually understand? Understand that Muslims can love God as much as Christians. Understand that Republicans care just as much about the country as Democrats. Understand why others love, live, and hate like we do without only tolerating or acknowledging that people believe what they will. This young man is like 21. Wow. I think, early 20s. So my brother and my friend Kokai, who is sitting up in the back corner, like many of us, is working towards the dream of a world that works for everyone. He continually teaches and enlightens me to so many things that I'm not aware of, thank you. And one thing he talks a great deal about is building. Recently, I came across this quote, and I realized that not only did I need to put it on his Facebook wall, but it has everything to do with this idea of creating a vision that we can all see together. And it's from the author of The Little Prince. And he wrote, if you want to build a ship, don't herd people together to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Get them out of the glass. Get them into the lake. How can we build it together if we can't even see each other or know what we're pointing at or have some kind of bigger vision for our world? Building is about getting our hands into the mix. Now, here's a little honest disclosure. I really hate group work. I really hate group work. I tend to like to go out on my own, be the lone wolf, and just do things my way. And I know that there are others like me out there, so let me just say this. I do see that there's room for all of us at the table. There's room for all kinds in the building process. And it's not so much about, hey kids, let's put on a show. Let's all get out there and work together. It's more about what can be done and what is mine to do. And with that kind of expansive viewpoint, there's always something to be done. And there's always something that is ours to do. It can be teeny. It can be large. It can be in a group. It can be by myself. About a week and a half ago, I was at work and I noticed that one of the young men that I work with at Alaska Child and Family had this really cool hat. And he commented about how he was going to make another hat. And I said, "Did you make that hat?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Dude, make me a hat." Joking. 3 days later, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he showed up at chapel with a hat. And initially he had said, "What color do you like?" And I said, "I like blue." He made me a rainbow hat because he said he knew that I liked rainbows. It's a 17-year-old kid in residential psychiatric treatment. He made me this hat. And I was floored. Here's this kid that I'm serving who totally served me with his hands, with his skill. So I like to remind each of us, including myself, as much as possible, that we are all essential. Not one of us is not needed to change things, to make the world better. Last August, I went to Hawaii for a drum circle facilitator training class. And one night, I took a step away from the drum circle, which is like steps from the beach. It was hard. It was work. It was work-related. It was really hard. But we were at the drum circle, and I just got really overwhelmed, and so I took a few steps out, and I walked down to the beach and was just standing at the beach yelling at God, which was actually a lot more spiritual than it sounds. But anyway, Ben, one of my drumming buddies, my drumming brothers, also took a step away from the drum circle and happened upon me standing there yelling at God. And we talked about the challenges that life can bring and how sometimes we just want to give up. And he said this beautiful thing. He said, "Don't leave the drum circle, Rachel. We need your rhythm." That's it. We all contribute in our own ways. It doesn't have to mean organizing a huge event. It doesn't even mean needing a lot of money. It can begin as simple and as kind as holding a door. Just last night, after I finished the talk, I saw on Facebook this video about this kid who'd been bullied in high school. He had a lisp, and he just suffered miserably. And his mom pulled him from the school and put him in a bigger public school. She wasn't sure how it was going to go. But he got this idea one day that if he did something kind for people, maybe they wouldn't bully him. And so he started holding the door open for people at the beginning of the school day. And after the first couple days, people thought, "Oh, it's cute, but it's not going to last." But it kept going. And then they started calling him Doorman, but kindly. And then they started doing it for each other. He would hold the door, and then somebody would hold the next door. And after he graduated from high school, he is now a motivational speaker about bullying. He goes into high schools and junior high and talks about the power of kindness to overcome this. So it can be as simple as holding a door open. It can be as simple as letting that really annoying driver into your lane. Even though they sped ahead and you're messing up the whole system, let them in. It can be as kind as saying "bless you" when somebody sneezes, somebody you don't know. It can mean being kinder to the earth, like when you're walking into the store and you see some garbage and you're about to walk by it. And you can pick it up because there's a garbage can right in front of the store. Just one piece. Returning carts. It's a huge one for me. Return the grocery cart. Recycling and supporting others and learning how to recycle. And you don't have to be like uber crazy recycle person with your organized bins and your, just recycle a couple things. Start small, build up, and be gentle with ourselves. We can't be everywhere and do everything and be all things to everyone all the time. I've tried. Yes, we just can't. So refill our wells. Take care of ourselves. We can try our best, and we need to take care of ourselves. It's a little story about Gandhi. When Gandhi was stepping aboard a train, as it started to move, one of his shoes slipped off, and it fell on the tracks. And there was no way he was going to get it back. So he calmly took off his other shoe and chucked it off the train so it would land near the other shoe. And a passenger said, "Why did you do that?" And he said, "Well, the poor man who finds the shoe laying there will now have a pair that he can use." It's all about the starting. It's all about stepping in, and it's never too late or too soon, and we can take timeouts. So it's not like once you've stepped in, well, now I'm committed for the rest of my life. It doesn't have to be. You can actually step in for a little bit, take a rest, get involved in different projects. Make sure that if you start to feel like you're running on empty, remember that you can't give if you don't have anything. So take a step back, refill so you have something to give. The key thing is to remember this. The message is so similar from so many different people. I found 3 different quotes from 3 different people that have the same underlying message. Rabbi Hillel said, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am not for others, what am I? And if not now, when?" John F. Kennedy said, "If not us, who? If not now, when?" And then Pastor Niemöller, "First they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me." We can all do something. We can all do something. We are here for each other. We are connected, and we are the hands. Let's do some praying. Oh, big deep breaths. It's so good to know that we're not in all of this alone. It's so good to know that, like in a marathon race, I can carry the baton for a little while, and then I'm going to need somebody to take it from me. And I know that that person is going to carry it for a little while until I get some rest. And then I can jump back in. It's so good to know that there are people in the world trying to do amazing things and doing amazing things. That there are people out there, we don't know their names, and yet we learn them, like Naomi and Gladys. People out there that are just doing something good and kind to shift the energy of the world. There are people who are not listening to the noise, who are turning away from the noise and the media overwhelm to say, that's not the truth right now. The truth right now is that God and good are conspiring for us. That this planet continues to spin because something larger than all of it is continuing to say yes. You'll figure this out. I know you will. Don't give up. It's so good to know that when we shift our perceptions, release our opinions, get quiet enough to hear that still small voice, and get quiet enough when we want to say, yeah, but, to stun that little voice out and just say no. Just listen. just here. That response may not be needed right now. And then to build in our own corner of the world, in our own way. Be more loving, be more forgiving, be more gentle with ourselves, with each other. This is how change happens. It doesn't have to be cataclysmic. It can just be taking that grocery cart back to the store. Or saying thank you when someone holds the door for us. And seeing their eyes. We are all connected and we are all in this together. So let's be the lake. And reduce the pain for ourselves and for our brothers and our sisters, even the ones that we don't get along with. Let's be that change that we want to see. Yes, so grateful, so grateful. Yes, amen, Ashe.